I want to introduce you just a little bit to PowerShell and what it's all about, because many people, many students in particular, are used to using the command line and have not really seen or used PowerShell very much. Now, PowerShell is a command line tool just like the command line. I'm going to go ahead and bring both of them up here. I'm going to call up CMD, which is the command prompt, and here it is. Now I'll put this over on one side. Let's see if I can bring that down just a hair so that you can see it better. There we go. And I'll put PowerShell on the other side. And by the way, whenever I run PowerShell, I always run it as administrator. So I'm going to go ahead and click Run as Administrator here, which means I have to answer that UAC. And let me put this over on this side. And I've made this bigger print so that you can read it better. I should probably do the same thing over here to the command prompt. All I have to do is click this little guy up here and go down to Properties and Font, and we'll choose something like, what, 20, 24? Looks like about 20. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 24. Font 24, so that you can read that better. There we go. So, put the two side by side. You'll notice that the window looks very similar, and that's because they're using the same engine. They're using the same program, so to speak, to render each other. PowerShell and the command line tool both run in the same engine. It's just a different program running within it, and that's why they look very similar. So there are some differences here, and by the way, notice first of all the prompt that came up, C users Roger, and PowerShell C Windows System 32. So they came up to a different place that they're actually sitting at. We call that the working directory, and so they're sitting in different working directories. So let me see if I can get these things to the same working directory. If I want to do that in the command line, I do that with the CD command. So I'm going to go CD, C, Windows, System 32, and now you can see I'm sitting in the same directory that I am over here in PowerShell. Now, interestingly, PowerShell will use similar commands. CD means change directory. I can use change directory here. For example, change directory C Windows. Whoops, I mistyped it. There we go, C Windows, and I moved to the C Windows. However, that is not a PowerShell command. What that is an alias. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to type get alias, and we'll see all the aliases. So an alias is a shortcut here, and if I go up here to CD, you'll see that it actually set location is the PowerShell command. So let's try that again. Let's put it back again. Set location C Windows System 32. Now, this is quite a bit longer to type than CD, but you'll have to admit that it's a lot easier to read. Set location makes a lot more sense than CD if I'm trying to learn the commands. And all of the PowerShell commands, which by the way we call commandlets, all the PowerShell commandlets are in this format. Some verb and some noun. Let's take a look at the commandlets. So I'm going to type get command, and since I don't want to see them all, I'll just I'll do all of them that start with the word get dash, and so that way we'll get the ones that just say get something. So you'll see they're all that same kind of format, get dash something, get dash something. just so you can see a few of the others, I'll go ahead and run once get command, and we'll look at all of them, and you'll see that I have, oh my goodness, here we go. I've got wait, test, start, stop, set. So I have various verbs: restart, rename, remove, and then the object that I want to deal with. So these are how all the commands work, or commandlets work, in PowerShell. PowerShell has a full scripting capability. That is to say, now I could write scripts in the command line, but it didn't have all of the scripting commands that really make it a true scripting language, whereas PowerShell does have a true scripting language. Also, with PowerShell, I can remote to multiple servers at one time. So imagine if I want to make a configuration change to 10,000 servers in a data center, I could do that in one fell swoop with PowerShell. Now, if I were to try to do that with the graphical user interface, I would have to go to all 10,000 servers and go click, 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 click to the graphical user interface and make that change. It would take me weeks, but I could do it in PowerShell instantly in one command. So that's why we needed PowerShell. That's why we use PowerShell. It also has something called desired state configuration. So we can say, I want all of these servers to be configured like this. Now, if anybody goes and manually changes one of those configurations, either by accident or on purpose, PowerShell desired state configuration will see that change and fix it and put it back the way it's supposed to be. So that is an awesome tool that we have available to us in PowerShell. So that is PowerShell. Get to learn these commands the best you can. As one Microsoft MVP put it, learn PowerShell or learn would you like fries with that, because it's that important to Microsoft. One more thing I'm going to show you in PowerShell, and that is what a command looks like in total, because there are also some other options, just like there are in command line, but in command line they're hard to understand, but in PowerShell they're fairly easy options to understand. So let's do something like, I'm going to do a get help full, and this is one of those options, by the way. In this case it's kind of a switch that says turn it on or turn it off, and then I want to type the command that I want to get help on. So I'll get help on the get service command. This gets me the services in Windows. So let's do get help full get service. Now let's go up to the top of that, and first of all, at the top, if I ever get to the top, you'll see that here's the syntax, and it looks a little bit intimidating at first, but here are some of the options. Everything where there's a dash here are some of the options. Get service, and then I can choose by computer name, display name, include and exclude, and so on. Well, how do I actually use all these? And by the way, here are those parameters all listed out here and what they do and some other information about them. But if I go down here to the bottom, I'll see probably some examples of what they look like. I should see some examples of what they look like. Let me see here. Here we go. So here's one. Here's an example. Get service name WinRM, computer name localhost, server 01 and server 02, and then I'm going to pipe that to another command. We can forget that part. That's a little bit more advanced. So you can see that this actually makes some sense, but the trick is for newcomers to learn where these spaces go and the structure of this. So you're going to have a command, and then you're going to have a parameter, a space, and then a parameter with a dash in front of it, and then a space, and then the arguments for that parameter. In this case, the name of the service we want to get is this WinRM service, and then a space and another parameter, and then a space and its argument, and so on. So that's how these things are organized. And when you go to type a PowerShell command, you need to learn, okay, I'm going to have command space, parameter space, argument space, parameter space, argument space, and so on. And then it becomes a lot easier to learn to type these commands.